It began as a spectacle. The Cathar Dominion, one of the most ancient powers of the Orion Arm, was not at war, not threatened, not in need. Their emperor, Jajar the Unyielding, sought only to remind the galaxy of his supremacy. His fleets moved not with desperation, but with arrogance. And his target was chosen not for strategy, but for theater. They descended upon Haven Reach, a quiet human colony orbiting a small yellow sun near the galactic rim. It was not a fortress, not a military bastion. It was a place of farming domes and coastal towns, a settlement where children played beneath alien skies and poets wrote of the stars. The Cathar forces did not bother with declarations or negotiations. They made landfall with plasma bombardments, cracking the colony's oceans into steaming craters, boiling rivers, turning glass towers into blackened ash. The few defense craft launched by Haven's militia were swatted down like insects, their wreckage raining fire across fields. The Emperor watched the destruction through hollows, seated upon a throne of obsidian metal, his talons curling in amusement. "See," he purred to his court of sycophants. "The humans do nothing. They send no fleet, no protest. They kneel by their silence. They wait because they are weak." The Cathar warriors laughed. For them it was not war, it was theater. A demonstration to the lesser species. Resist the Dominion, and this is your fate. 12 million souls perished in the fires of Haven Reach. Not a single Cathar ship was lost. Arrogance. Echoes. Across the stars, the massacre was broadcast throughout the galactic networks. Dominion ambassadors ensured every sector received the recordings. Towering human cities consumed in plasma storms, survivors dragged in chains, the screams of children carried on open comms before being cut into silence. Alien civilizations across the Orion Arm reacted with unease. Some whispered of the cruelty. Others dared to pity humanity. But all knew the lesson. The humans, they reasoned, would protest in the Council of Concord, file pleas for justice, perhaps demand reparations. They would be met with the same response all weaker species received: silence, mockery, dismissal. And so, in the drinking halls of Cathar warlords, they toasted to their emperor's dominance. "Humans," they sneered. "Too slow to act, too soft to strike, too civilized to resist." But a few observant species noticed something strange. Earth remained silent. Not the silence of submission, but the silence of stillness. Human envoys did not cry for pity. Their fleets did not mobilize to the border. They issued no words of anger or grief. They were simply waiting, and the galaxy mistook that waiting for weakness. The weight of silence. Months passed. In the Dominion's capital, courtiers mocked the stillness of Earth. "Not even a single skirmish," one lord laughed. "No assassin. No strike team, no demand for compensation," said another. "Their kind has no fire left. Their fangs are filed down." Emperor Jajar basked in their agreement. He declared humanity broken and ordered statues erected across conquered worlds depicting humans in chains, heads bowed. Yet, in the shadows of the galactic rim, scouts whispered rumors. Unmarked vessels were spotted moving in tight formations. Entire star systems near human space fell strangely silent, their trade lanes empty, their signals dead. Mining colonies, allied to humanity, sent cryptic warnings before going dark. And always, humanity said nothing. That silence grew heavy, like the still air before a storm. A few alien leaders reached out in quiet concern. Why does Earth wait? What are they building? Why no answer to the massacre of Haven Reach? The Dominion mocked these whispers. Pathetic paranoia. The humans are too fractured, too slow. They cannot rise against us. But in the void between stars, unseen by most, the storm gathered. The breaking point it was the first day of the new galactic cycle when the silence broke. The Cathar fleet stationed near the colony of Zernia received a single transmission on every channel. From radio to subspace, it was not a declaration of war. It was not a plea. It was one sentence, repeated in every known tongue of the galaxy. "Our patience has ended." Before the Dominion's fleet commander could laugh, before he could even order a scan, the stars themselves seemed to move. Dozens of ships, matte black and silent, dropped from hyperspace without warning. They bore no banners, no signals, no hesitation. Weapons flared, not in warning, but in execution. The Dominion fleet was shredded in the first hour. Their command vessel was split in two by a beam of energy that did not simply pierce it, but erased matter itself. The screams of officers were cut short as gravity wells collapsed, dragging survivors into their own engines. On every Dominion world, the words repeated on open channels. We waited so you would forget. Now remember. The Shadow Fleets, the galaxy had long believed humanity weak because their fleets were modest, their colonies spread thin, their diplomacy cautious. What no one understood was that humanity had never stopped building. In secret, beneath the ice of Europa, within hollowed asteroids, in dark voids hidden by gravitational shadows, they had forged weapons beyond imagining. They called them the Shadow Fleets. Colossal dreadnoughts with hulls that swallowed light, carriers the size of small moons, launching swarms of autonomous warforms, missile silos that unfolded like black blossoms, firing payloads that could shatter continents. For centuries, humans had remained quiet while the galaxy fought its petty wars, each empire posturing and tearing at its rivals. Humanity played the diplomat, the traitor, the peacemaker, but all the while they built and they waited. And when the first strike came, they were ready. Retribution unleashed. The retaliation was not war, it was annihilation. Human fleets did not maneuver for territory. They did not offer ultimatums or seek alliances. They struck with surgical fury, burning worlds and erasing fleets as if they had always known the targets. The Cothar's fortress stations, thought impregnable, cracked under bombardments that lasted mere minutes. Their shipyards were gutted by precision strikes, molten rivers of steel cascading into orbit. Human ground forces descended like a storm. Drop pods screamed through atmospheres, carrying soldiers clad in black exo-armor that turned them into towering juggernauts. Plasma bolts ricocheted harmlessly from their shields. Cities surrendered in hours, but surrender did not save them. For every child of Haven Reach, for every poet silenced, for every dream burned, the answer was fire. The humans said nothing as they slaughtered. No speeches, no boasts. Their silence was more terrifying than any roar of conquest. The galaxy watched as the Dominion's heartlands collapsed in weeks. Systems that had never been breached in 10,000 years fell like sandcastles before the tide. The Emperor's last words, in the obsidian throne room where he had once laughed at humanity. Emperor Jajar now stood surrounded by the ruins of his guard. His palaces burned outside, the skies choked with smoke from orbital strikes. A human strike team entered without ceremony. Their leader, faceless behind a helm of black steel, spoke only one sentence. Haven Reach remembers. And with that, the Emperor's line ended. His palace was leveled. His world turned to ash. His empire reduced to whispers and ruins. The galaxy trembles. When the war ended, there was no treaty, no negotiation. Human fleets withdrew as swiftly as they had come, leaving only devastation in their wake. Entire Dominion sectors were reduced to silent graveyards, stars orbiting the husks of shattered stations. The other empires of the galaxy, once amused, once dismissive, now trembled. They understood the truth too late. Humanity had always been patient. Their silence had been misread as weakness. But that patience had limits, and when it ended, the vengeance unleashed was more than war. It was judgment, the whispered warning in. The years that followed, the galaxy rebuilt in fear. Refugees whispered in marketplaces, smugglers carried rumors across stars, and rulers spoke carefully when humanity's name arose. One phrase spread, whispered with the weight of myth: never provoke Earth again. For humanity's patience was vast, but their vengeance was infinite, and the galaxy had learned, in fire and blood, why they waited.